Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another Total War Warhammer video. So all the recent news regarding Warhammer 3 has been very exciting. I myself had the pleasure of being able to take part in an event hosted by Creative Assembly and play through the new survival battle game mode. As fun as that was, we weren't really given too much information regarding the game, yet of course there were a few interesting things through that event which strike out to me. Don't get me wrong, a lot of stuff that was showcased in the event was cool, but I'm looking towards the future and what in this event could potentially fix a lot of big problems. Of course, I am referring to the construction mechanics, that which is available to you as Catherine's forces to be able to build up some defenses, walls, towers, traps, and so on in an effort to hold back Khorne's forces whilst you push your way through his bloody realm. Now, interestingly enough, all of this stuff which we've been able to see in this survival battle is stuff that has been speculated upon in the past not only by myself, but also other YouTubers. Mostly in relation to the possibility of a huge complete siege overhaul. Now, we've only been able to see stuff defensively, but it is assumed that the domination map, this is the other type of battle map that nobody's been able to see yet, might have some unique mechanics revolving around a more offensive type of gameplay. But let's not worry about that just yet and focus around the defensive stuff. With everything we've seen so far, and of course I'm talking about the constructible defenses, can that benefit a potential siege rework for campaign? Again, these are mechanics that we've all discussed in the past, but now they are actually here. And yes, this won't fix everything for defensive sieges, but every little bit helps. For tower changes, unless you can construct more, I really don't see a point. The current system with regards to towers works well. The more you upgrade your defenses, the better towers you have. Though I have seen people say that they prefer arrow towers over cannon towers, which is the final upgrade, simply because the arrow towers themselves are the ones that have the best accuracy. I don't think you can actually miss whilst it's an area of range, whereas the artillery towers themselves can miss, and it can get a little bit annoying, especially if you're dealing with fast moving enemies and the fact that you can't actually control where the towers fire. Well, not efficiently at least. Now, let's look towards the barricades. The barricades are something which people have been requesting for many years now. In fact, other than just some special mechanics that it brings in, it's not really new. Barricades have been a part of Total War for a long time now, and for some reason were omitted from Total War Warhammer. Now, we know that we're going to get a siege rework in Total War Warhammer 3, but let's use a hypothetical here. Even if they just added in this barricade system for defensive sieges, that alone would make defensive sieges a lot more enjoyable and less of a drag. I'm just flat out saying here that we need barricades in Warhammer 3. Of course, I'm hoping that some extra mechanics will come into play for both defensive and offensive. Again, we've seen nothing offensively yet, though the addition of new tower types and of course the barricades will help dramatically. Now, I imagine that we're all pretty much on the same page here, but this is where it becomes a bit of an issue. How exactly can this get implemented, but still be fair and balanced to the attacking force? Balance is a very touchy subject when it comes to Total War Warhammer. Well, in all honesty, Total War in general, and funny enough, Warhammer Tabletop too. It's always something that just can't seem to be right. I believe there are two possible ways to go around it. One is the more simpler option, which is the one we'll discuss now. So when an enemy besieges one of your territories that have walls, they have to wait a few turns to build up siege towers, battering rams, and whatever else they may have in the future if they get anything new. During that time that you're under siege, you're not able to construct anything. Your buildings are completely locked. It renders that settlement useless unless you decide to sally forth or you wait for your enemies to attack you. Though what could be done is allow for the same functionality that the attackers have. This would then open up a separate page where you would be able to build up defensive stuff. It's literally just a copy-paste of the mechanic which allows attackers to build up the siege towers and battering rams, just replacing those to the constructibles that the defenders will have. Something like that is simple enough, and let's be honest, it doesn't really need to be that complicated. It just needs to be there just to give us the option to build up the constructibles if we so wish. Though a second option, and a far more complex one should Creative Assembly want to be a bit more adventurous, could be as follows. Instead of having the option discussed before, they could somehow, in a sense, bring in that resource system that was implemented for survival, though perhaps in a different way to give it more of a campaign feel, where the resources themselves would be tied to your settlement and your buildings. So let me just explain myself a little bit here, because I understand it might sound a bit confusing. Controlling a settlement will give you a flat number of resources. As you upgrade the settlement itself to go into higher tiers, you would then naturally get more resources which you could use defensively. Each of the settlement tiers, 3 for minor and 5 for major, would have a set amount of resources that they could have access to. The limit itself would then increase depending on what structures you build in said settlement. So say for example, if there are more different types of garrison buildings, those garrison buildings would add to your extra defensive resource limit. Then, when you actually get into the battle map during your deployment phase, you would then have a separate tab for all the deployables that you would have access to, in a very similar sense to how Free Kingdom currently does it. Now the difference is, of course, you have a set number of resources which you could use to purchase stuff during your deployment phase. Barricades, tower changes, whatever gets added in. We're not too sure if this even does get added in. We know now that instant purchasing is indeed possible, as we've been able to see that in the survival battles. I think both options could work incredibly well, and it would bring a lot of flavor at least to defensive sieges. I did ask some modders what they thought, as obviously they know the game better than I do internally. The response I got each time was that it could indeed be possible mechanically, but that's something that obviously developers would need to do themselves, as this stuff is usually hard-coded. But what do you guys think about all this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's start a bit of a discussion. I'm rather curious to see what you guys think, especially as these mechanics are of course very different to what we're normally used to. Though I genuinely think that this could solve a lot of problems with defensive sieges. I'm hoping that the domination map mode has something to do with offensive play, and we might see how that could benefit offensive sieges. But until then, I guess it's all just a bit of a waiting game. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various links to different social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Discord. Also in the description section is an affiliate link with Element Games, where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Making a purchase using that link and also our special code, which is also in the description, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. It's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A big thank you to Gibraltar LUSC, Ryan Bertsche, Andrew Prince, and Okro for subscribing to us at our Fane level. You guys are super cool. And a big thank you to Edward Yule, VS Vasan, Aaron Whitman, and Shaggy for subscribing to us at our King level. Honestly, we can't thank you all enough. And lastly, a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing, and commenting on these videos. Honestly, it's because of you guys that the channel has been growing at such a great pace lately, so we can't thank you all enough. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.